no droids, no bounty no Reylos, no Ray Nobodies, no Disney sequel fans of any kind. We don't truck with them. They're not Star Wars fans. So I want to talk a little bit more about the Reddit leak person. And this is my new Empire Strikes Back t-shirt. It's got the crawl on the back. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit more about the Reddit leak. First off, they sort of are trying to give Kennedy, Abrams, and Johnson a free pass. You know, they didn't have enough time and enough space to create a great sequel trilogy. They were on, you know, time constraints, and it's the suits were too involved. Bullshit. You give me $225 million. Hey, Mad Piranha. You give me $225 million, a good director, a good writer, and I can make a goddamn good Star Wars sequel trilogy. At $225 million for each movie. I'll earn your trust on that. It's not hard. You gotta love it. Okay. This leak, when you look at it, and the thumbnail that I am using is the first part of it, and and in the description of this video, you will find the link to it is full of, it's everybody else's fault but ours. What I find interesting, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, is that Alan Horn, by virtue of saying, I'm not sure, oh yeah, Mephiston, you're right, if they had a plan, and they didn't. They didn't. But go, and I don't know if you can watch this and read the leak, but go look at the leak and listen to me talking, because when you look at this, they're saying they didn't have enough time, the suits were involved, and it's all Alan Horn's fault. Kathy really tried. She didn't want to do a bad sequel trilogy. She didn't care. She didn't care. Notice, you never see her on the set of The Force Awakens or The Rise of Skywalker, or even solo a Star Wars story until all hell was breaking loose and she had to go. But sure as fuck, she's at Indiana Jones, all up in Harrison Ford's grill. Hey, Diamond Play. I mean, she, you know, as Tom Connor says, she's basically a latchkey mom. She's basically, she doesn't care. She's not interested. Okay. Her idea of macro managing and, you know, my idea of macro managing are different. First off, you get people who are competent. You know, and JJ, I'm sorry to say, you know, he's a good politician, but he's a lousy storyteller. He just can't do it. Larry Kasdan, you know, he trips over his own feet anymore. Rian Johnson is the asshole in school who just destroyed shit to destroy shit, which is what he did with Pablo Hidalgo. They didn't have any intention of, you know, doing a good job. And the idea that they didn't have enough time is bullshit. These are excuses. It's everybody else's fault but ours. And, you know, I'm sorry, but throwing the old white guy, Alan Horn, under the bus because A, he's leaving, if that is per Variety, in December, he leaves with Bob Iger, you know, and the idea that it was all his fault. You know, I mean, I just go, you know, but they're doing it because he's leaving. Oh, it is BS. And it's, look, Sin and Dave, I've had deep discussions with people. It is pure PR. It is trying to, they go to the one place they felt that maybe they could get a little bit of, it's okay, Sparky, you did okay. It's bullshit. They're trying, the person who wrote it is trying to defend every bullshit decision that Kennedy and JJ and Ruin Johnson made. We need more diversity. Well, Star Wars was diverse. So what's that supposed to be? Their idea of diversity is changing characters, OG characters, and basically taking any guy who's an older white man and trashing him, Han, Luke, you know, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing, you know, and when I look at this leak and I see what Alan Horn was trying to do, I don't, they don't look, Diamond, if they don't see their token black guy, their token Latina or Latinx, whatever, hey, Jeremy, their token dyke, gay guy, their token trans, and whatever, they're not going to be happy. I mean, and the way it's all done, well, yeah, and you're right, John 42, but I've said that. I've said that to them. You're talking about people who aren't creative. Okay. So they wanted more diversity. Alan Horn is like, I want the cast to reflect the cast that was in the OT. Perfectly logical. That's not racist. That's from a businessman's point of view. We need to be able to sell this movie. And, who are these new characters going to be? Yeah, I know that. And they got what they deserved with a black Anne Boleyn. And I saw parts of it, just like things of it on YouTube, and it was trash. I am not an expert in British history, but I've been to London. I've explored the Tower, and everything. And I don't know where they got whoever thought it was a good idea to mock Anne Boleyn by making her black. I don't know what they're trying to do, but they deserve to flop. But anyway, let's go back. You can't do that. She wasn't a redhead, though. She was a brunette. But anyway, let's go back. So they wanted more diversity. Alan Horn is saying, I really want the cast to reflect the old cast. When they finally got John Boyega in, he basically made sure, because Boyega is a loose cannon, and he's very impulsive. Alan Horn wanted him to go and talk to the PR people because Boyega can't keep his mouth shut. Okay. And we've seen him do that. We've seen him get in trouble on Twitter. He can't keep his mouth shut. I think the reason why Alan Horn was iffy with the black stormtrooper, it wasn't because it was a black stormtrooper. It was because it was John Boyega. Okay. I think when Disney disappeared him off the poster of The Force Awakens, it was for the Chinese. That was a business decision. And you've got them basically saying that, well, Kathy apologized to both Kelly Marie and John for the horrible way they were treated. John Boyega's character went from being interesting to trash because of Rian Johnson. Because they didn't want a white girl with a black man. Okay. But the weird thing about it, everybody gather around, they got the Asian Vietnamese girl with the black man. How do you think the Asian audiences felt about that? See, we're not thinking here, are we? Hollywood liberals are, if anything, dipshits. They really are. They're stupid. They're literally some of the stupidest people you will ever run into in your life. Okay. Anyway, let's go further. Then we get into her apologizing. I'm gonna say this. I think she was all on board with everything Horn said. Let me explain. There was a story out there that JJ wanted Boyega and Kennedy was the one that didn't want him. I think that's probably true. Okay. In fact, I know it was true. Okay. I know it was. I can't imagine. I mean, can you imagine her, one of her daughters, showing up dating a black man? Can you? She'd shit her pants. Or she would absolutely have a bird. All right. They, entitled, elite, wealthy, white leftists are absolutely some of the biggest goddamn racists I have ever seen in my whole life. They really are. I've heard them drop the N word. I've seen them talk down to black men who are their equals. All right, personally myself. It's very interesting. They're all for equal. And I'll tell you something else. They are not, and this is the discussion that Midnight's Edge is going to have, which is going to be really cool. They are not for equality. They are for equity, where everything, the outcome is all equal, which puts everybody in the shit box who's not part of their team. That's what they want. That's all they want. Think about it. Okay? So we've got that going on. We've got, basically this person trying to explain that the sequel trilogy would have been better and they didn't have enough time and that Alan Horn, it was all Alan Horn's fault. If they had done what Alan Horn wanted, the sequel trilogy wouldn't be what it is. It would look the same way. He wanted, from what I think, to have Star Wars look and feel like Star Wars. And you had Miss white women, white leftist women, wanting to shove shit down our throats. None of us wanted. JJ going, oh, that's great. And, Rian Johnson not being able to wait to kick over the sandcastle. Okay? That's what they did. It wasn't Alan Horn that hired the story group that wanted women in positions of power at Lucasfilm in places they didn't earn. They only got them because of their plumbing. That's it. That's it. It's not because they were good at it or had any experience. It's because of what they have between their legs and on their chests. That is it. Alan Horn didn't do that. Alan Horn was looking at how much Disney spent on Lucasfilm. He was looking at the first 3 movies. He was looking, and I'm going to tell you, his fault was probably he was terrified of a reaction if they came out like the prequels. Funny enough, the prequels were really goddamn financially successful. But the, cattle-like opinion in Hollywood was that nobody liked the prequel trilogy. Bullshit. The fans did. The prequels are now every bit as loved as the OT. All right? And everything fits together like a Swiss watch. This is what George wanted. Okay? So you've got Alan Horn with that mindset, but he still wants something that reflects what Star Wars is. And he doesn't want to go way off on a diversity, poor storytelling narrative where it's all about, shoving tiny minorities into places they don't belong and telling the story that way. And you got Kennedy, who's worried about women and gays and lesbians and trans and all the rest of that shit. And you got JJ, part of that. And you got Rian Johnson. And you got a mess. Because despite everything, Alan Horn probably had the right idea. I'm sure if you talk to him, and I'm going to say this, when TLJ came out and the rumors were starting to come out about who liked it and who hated it, the rumors were Bob Iger hated it. Now we find out he liked it. And Alan Horn liked it. Now we find out he hated it. TLJ. Who do you think was on our side without even knowing it? Alan Horn. All right. He's getting thrown under the bus of this PR stunt. And Variety's article saying he's leaving says a lot. Now, they are trying to, it's like this crying thing. It wasn't our fault, it was his thing going on here. We've got, Kennedy supposedly apologizing to both Boyega and Kelly Marie Tran on behalf of Disney. I think that would probably have been Bob Iger doing that. All right? She's Lucasfilm. She apologized for Lucasfilm. And I'll tell you why. Because she made those decisions. And she was all for hiding John Boyega and keeping that character away from Ray. Because A, the Reylos, which I go off on a short side note. Twilight is literally the worst thing that happened to cinema. If you look at the Reylos, that's where they came from. When you had 50 Shades of Mommy porn, that just added to it, and that's where Reylo was born. Okay? You take an ugly, pale, skinny dirtball whose voice sounds like his balls haven't dropped, and you've got a bunch of, all right, that girl, TikTok girl, morbidly obese, probably virginal girls, and morbidly obese single cat ladies who, I don't know what they do when they're private and I don't want to know, are all up on him because that's what they think is attractive. It's not. I don't understand it, but this is what we've got. And Kennedy is a Reylo. She wanted that fucking kiss. They saw the fucking fan fiction on Tumblr. They saw the stupid, half-retarded college students and, oh God, really, Angelique? I can't. I may have to go in a quiet place and think about that and meditate for a while. Holy are you kidding me? Oh, ew. Anyway, you can't, oh God, that's just so bad. You can't, you get these girls, they want to cater to them. These people weren't Star Wars fans. Let me tell you something. You get a middle-aged woman, my age, I'll admit I'm not a spring chicken anymore by any means. And she's crazy about Reylo. And let's say she graduated in the 80s. Okay. Any girls that she knew in high school or grade school or junior high who were Star Wars nuts like me, and if she was popular, if she was on the in crowd, she treated us like shit. Not a Star Wars fan. None of these people are. But they got catered to. And how it was done? That fucking kiss of gratitude so the Reylos could all beat off together. Okay? And then he croaked and we all laughed. Keeping Finn away from Rey. Okay, and that a platonic friendship. Because I have seen Raylo say a lot of really bad things about nasty racist things about black men. Okay. Of course, if you look at Adam Driver, he would look awfully interesting in a gray, Feldgrau gray uniform with the skulls emblem on his cap. I mean, just putting it out there. You know, ugh, God, he's just nasty looking fuck. But I'll tell you something. Do they buy the merchandise? Do these middle-aged women go out and say, I think I want a dark gray? No, they didn't. Do they go out and buy Kyle Ron figures? No. The only Kyle Ron figure I've seen Hasbro put out is in a Sith pack, and he is not a fucking Sith. That Sith pack has Sidious, Maul, and Vader in it. And Dickwad. That's it. You can find one. You can find them on eBay for like $20. But, when you look at people who are selling more than selling more than like one figure of a character, and the only ones that are always left are Rey and Kyle Ron. Okay, can't find a Finn anywhere because they're not making them, and they overestimated the love of Kelly Marie Tran, and I remember walking into Boscov's and seeing an entire wall of 3-inch Rose Ticos for $1.99. And, so, they don't buy the stuff. They don't go to the movies over and over again. They don't buy the comic books. They don't, and when you say, well, you guys don't buy the merchandise, it'll always be someone online. Weirdly, some guy saying, well, I bought it. I thought it was great. He's the only one. There are like 5 of them. Okay? They're not buying this stuff. This is why Disney's not making any money. Okay? This is why they're not making any money on the High Republic, even though you see people, here and there sending tweets to Pablo Hidalgo saying how much they like the High Republic. He's probably tweeting to himself. It's a failure. Okay, but this is where Kennedy put all of her ducks in this woke garbage. And now you look at this leak and they're trying desperately to defend her and blame Alan Horn for the sequels failing. We all know why the sequels failed. TFA was a shitty remake of A New Hope, right? You don't do that in Star Wars. You come up with a completely different idea. Second of all, instead of exploring second of all, you don't do a hard send-off for the main OT characters. In fact, Latino slant, they were supposed to. In fact, what you do is you make the sequel trilogy about the OT characters and them handing off the baton to the new generation. Okay? Han handing the Falcon off to one of his sons or his daughter or something. Maybe he or she is a Jedi. So Luke handing off the Grandmaster whatever, or maybe he's just teaching younglings while the people that he trained up first are out, fighting Thrawn or whatever. Or a new, dark side user, like a clone of George Sabao or Darth Talon or, whatever, somebody like that. Leia, in her capacity as in where she is, stateswoman, trying to build up the Republic. And her and Han working together for this. Okay. In fact, I would have had that in the past. That she's already done that stuff. If you look at what Carrie was going through at the time, her health issues, I would have had her in it but I would have had her retired, and her and Han kind of living in him being in semi-retirement and kind of living somewhere and doing their thing. The kids coming and going, getting advice. Maybe Han shows up in the Falcon in one point with Luke. We get to a point where, they're both kind of sitting there on a bench watching everything going on, and Han going, "Do you think we need to help him?" And Luke going, Han saying, "I think we need to go and help." And then grabbing Lando and going and doing it. There's your soft handoff. Okay. Then you have a new generation of Jedi. Instead, we got, "I'm Rey Skywalker." After, the the ambulatory 2x4 puts her, Anakin's and Leia's sabers in the sand of Tatooine. Because that was such a middle finger. It was, oh my God. And, Daisy Ridley can't act. Adam Driver's overrated in every way, shape, and form an actor can be. John Boyega never had a chance. I don't want to talk about anybody else. This was a mess, and this is not all Alan Horn's fault. All right? If you have, again, you give me 2 years, $225 million, a good writer, and a director like Ridley Scott, I will give you an episode 7 that will knock your goddamn socks off. And then we'll go and do it again and again. Okay, you will get your damn trilogy. And it won't look at anything like what we got. It'll be better. It'll work. It'll work. This didn't work. And it's all their fault. It is not just Alan Horn's fault. To me, again, he at least understood that they weren't doing it the right way. And Kathy, she went and fought for John. She didn't fight for John. She didn't want him in it. Okay? Alan Horn at least saw the kid and said, probably, I don't mind a black stormtrooper, but this guy is impulsive. And he needs some refining. All right? That's what he did. He's not a racist. But I'll tell you who is. Kathy Kennedy. I'll tell you who else is. J.J. Abrams. I'll tell you who else is. Rian Johnson. Look what they did to those characters. Again, it is not what you say, it is what you do. All right? Sending John Boyega to get some help from PR isn't necessarily a bad thing, okay? It is helping the kid, okay? Shrinking his image on a poster and then doing everything you can to keep that character from reaching its full potential because the Chinese are a bunch of racist slobs is racism. Okay. When I think about Hollywood and I think about China, and you've got Quentin Tarantino basically saying, "I am not changing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for the Chinese," and not budging. That's the way you deal with them. That is the way you deal with them. Okay? Because sooner or later, they're going to screw you anyway, because that's what they do every goddamn time. So then, okay, what else happened? The movies lost, Force Awakens came out to $2.03 billion, broke box office records, la la la. The reason why is because Harrison Ford and the nostalgia factor and JJ's heavy-handed fan service. But when you walked out of it, you were like, you should have walked out of it going, yeah. And instead, you walk out going, why do I feel like I don't like this movie and I really want to? Again, it took me a year to admit The Force Awakens sucks ass. And it does. Okay, so, that movie made that much money, but you start to look at the lack of merchandise sales. Rey is horrible. Let me explain something about Rey. If you watch The Bad Batch and you see Omega, Omega fails a lot. That's what happens when you're an 8-year-old or 10-year-old kid and you're trying to learn something that's complicated. All right? She's not a Mary Sue. Rey was written as a Mary Sue. Hey, House Atreides. That's all she is. Okay? That's all she is. And that, what I love about the character is that she never, ever really goes through a character arc. She's the same person on Tatooine that we found on Jakku. Okay? Her training was bullshit. She doesn't really get to see who she really is inside. And we find out she's a clone of Palpatine. Or a grandchild, or what, I don't know what the fuck. Whatever she was. She's not really even human. Okay? She's just, I mean, a half-assed character played by a half-assed actress. We've got no definitive reason for Kyle Ron falling to the dark side. He's not a Sith. Why he's got a big burr up his ass about his father, we don't know. Because there's nothing in their canon that shows Han was ever abusive to him. Then we've got, people saying, well, Han and Leia just didn't pay any attention to him. Well, at the time, Kyle Ron was traveling all over the galaxy as his uncle's first and only apprentice. We'll get to that in a second, because now there's a different story coming out. So, there's nothing to these stories. There's nothing to them. At least with A New Hope, you realize if they were going to come back and make a new one, the next one, that we get to know more about these characters. And we did. I'm wearing the t-shirt. The Empire Strikes Back. There's no reason to tell another story in the sequel trilogy after The Force Awakens. But we're allowed to think Rian Johnson's going to fix all this stuff and explain everything and respect the OT characters. Oh no! There's no mention of Han Solo except for Leia getting his lucky dice, which when I think about them, it's like I don't remember seeing them anywhere in the OT. I really, really don't. It's like, what the fuck is that? But that's it. That's all we got. We didn't get to say goodbye. We never got to see any bit of tenderness. There's no romance. These fucking people don't even know how to do romance. Right. You know what about this poster? See that? That's Gone with the Wind. That's where that idea came from. Rian Johnson's idea of romance is Rose Tico passing out and forcing Finn to kiss her. Okay. You walk away going, ick. That's not romance. I literally, but we thought he was going to fix it and he didn't. He fucked us with Han. He turned Leia into, I think, maybe bisexual. Admiral Holdo. I mean, that, just that idea alone, if I'd have been George Lucas, I'd have walked out during the premiere and given him a little piece of my goddamn mind on that one alone. Okay. First off, Holdo shows up in a purple goddamn gown. She's supposed to be the best pilot ever. And she's a vice admiral. Why the fuck is she dressed like she's going to a goddamn opera? Why isn't she dressed in a uniform? Okay. Then she acts nothing like a flag officer would act. Now, how do I know how flag officers act? How do I know that, George Lucas would know? Because he was a World War II, Yeah, I mean, he grew up knowing all the actors from World War II. Admiral Nimitz, Admiral King, Admiral Halsey, Admiral Spruance, George Patton, General Bradley, General Eisenhower, General Spates, uh, General Doolittle, all the American generals and admirals. They're called flag officers. If you're at a military base and you see a small red flag with a star, 2 stars, 3 stars, or 4 stars, that means there's a general officer, a flag officer in the headquarters right there and then. Okay? There is a certain way they act. Okay, I have known female Marine Corps generals. I have known female Army generals. All right? They are U.S. soldiers and U.S. Marines before they're anything else. But we've got Purple here expressing her dykeness to everybody. No one gives a shit. Not in the middle of a goddamn war. No. All right? If I saw that coming, I'd be like, great. How am I supposed to depend on her for anything? Or it, or whatever she thinks she is. Okay, how the fuck am I supposed to depend on her for anything? Does she have my back? No. People like this, they're so into expressing their individuality. And this is actually happening right now in the US Army. And it's bad. Are dangerous when they're out in the middle of a battlefield. There's a reason why when you go to a US Marine Corps recruit depot and they get there in the middle of the night and they all get their hair cut. So they're all like, they're learning how to be Marines first. That's it. All right. No one gives a shit where you stick your dick. Okay? At that point, no one cares. All right? Because in the shit, you depend on the guy next to you and the guy next to you, on each side, and the guy behind you. Right? That's it. So I see that bitch coming, and I'm doing this. But I don't expect Rian Johnson to understand that. That was another problem I had with her. Okay? The other problem, she treats everybody beneath her like they're imbeciles. And what was the description? Because Claudia Gray created her. The description was she doesn't talk to anybody, she keeps everything to herself, and doesn't tell anybody of her plans. How the fuck do you implement a strategy as a flag officer if you don't tell your staff? I want you all to understand. Go back and read anything about the build-up to D-Day. All right, and General Eisenhower. I can't imagine him keeping Walter Beetle Smith out of his plans. Him keeping all that shit to himself. What the fuck? These people are morons. So we get this stupid character, and she sacrifices herself by doing something that's completely not within Star Wars universe building parameters. And I'm like, okay. So we get done with the Last Jedi. Luke is fucked. Leia's fucked. There's no mention of Han and anything like that. The novel comes out, and the prologue is Han's memorial. And they did not want to put that in there. Jason Fry did not want to do that. And when you read that, you could tell. The biggest video I've ever had on this channel was me ranting about that in particular. When I got that book, and a friend of mine actually sent me it, and I looked at it. I didn't buy it. I'm not going to buy their shit. I went berserk. They think the kids like this shit that they're putting out there. They don't. I would rather, if I had sons, I would rather have them look up to OG Luke and Han more than Superman and Spider-Man. And the reason is this: Han and Luke are accessible. They're not superheroes. All right? They're characters that you can actually connect with, okay, in a way that's realistic. All right? What they have done with those characters, they've castrated them. They castrated Luke in TLJ. And when that was over, the backlash was palpable. And then, of course, I'm not even going to get into the trash that is Solo. Let's go into The Rise of Skywalker. You know, was George part of that? I have been told he was. I have been told he did actually film and help write scenes for it. And I was also told that when Kennedy saw those, she lost her shit. Okay? Is there a JJ cut? There's a, I can't remember what they call them, but there's a cut of every movie made, all right, that is basic, that they first see. It's a basic rough cut that they first see, and then they start editing, they start fixing, they start doing things to make it a movie, the movie that we'll see on the screen. Let's put it this way: when you have to take a film and re-film 40% of it right before it's supposed to premiere, that says a dumpster fire is coming, okay? And oh boy, did it ever. I got lucky. I went on the high seas to watch it. They care Diamond Plate. That's why they won't watch it. And I was so appalled at what I saw, I couldn't even explain it. I was like, what the fuck? I saw it on this phone too. Horrifying, horrible. The only movie that they've made that was decent, and I think it's because George Lucas was actually consulted, was Rogue One. All right? The Vader scenes were perfect. The casting of Orson Krennic and Galen Erso was perfect. You know, and even if you didn't like the CGI, Tarkin or Leia, that really hit me. Both really hit me hard. I mean, I cried. I was so happy. No, they care. They care Diamond Plate. But that's it. That's it. But everything is Alan Horn's fault in the sequel trilogy. What I find fascinating is, how could it be his fault if nothing he wanted was up on the screen? Oh, and when you go look at that listing of, if you go look at that leak, this person basically says Kennedy's getting a job higher up in Disney. Now, I don't know if I believe that. I don't really think that Bob Chapek would want her there. I don't think, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who'd put up with shit, okay? And really, you know, she's got a business to run. And she's got, she's got, Kennedy Marshall, and she had ambitions, I've heard, of putting out her own studio. So, I don't see her staying at Disney. So I think that's probably bullshit. But this whole PR thing, and that the leak is and that's what it is bullshit. Now, when it says there isn't any drama and isn't any civil war behind the scenes at Lucasfilm, I am pretty sure that the shit that happened to Gina was a result of a civil war going on at Lucasfilm. Okay, they can deny anything they want. I don't believe it. Okay, now let's go further. So I'm done talking about the leak. If you want to go read it, it's on this in the description. A link is there. Let's talk about Valiant Renegades. Think about George Lucas. So Valiant Renegade got that book, the Lucasfilm Archive, that big red thing that costs about $200-300 that I'm dying to get my hands on. It's very interesting because there is a clause in George's contract, and it's not just in the book, but I remember seeing it now everywhere, saying that if Bob Iger asked him, George Lucas had to come and help. Now, we've got Josh at Den of Nerds talking about Lucas being part of the Andor thing. I have it on good authority that there's somebody in Britain right now, for no reason that we can tell. I mean, if this guy was part of anything else, we don't know what it was. Who's not saying a word about it? And what Josh was saying, George wanted to explore Han Solo's character. La la la, he loves him. He wants to go further. I can't imagine him being truly happy with Solo. If George has written 2 episodes for Andor, and if he is executive producing, A, that means they called him and he's part of it. B, there's something about Andor that he likes. Now, the fact that they're bringing Krennic back is a good thing. Who else are they bringing back? I predict we're going to see Han Solo. And it's not going to be Alden Ehrenreich. It's going to be somebody else. And it's going to be fantastic. And I'm going to say this. I think probably it's George who's writing those episodes. Okay, because it just makes sense. And now, from what the other things I've heard, everything's starting to fall into place. Okay? And weirdly, we've got Indy 5 filming in England along with Andor. So is he back? Well, if they called him back, yeah, he has to come back. That's his contract. Second of all, looking at the 30,000-foot view, as Valiant Renegade likes to say, and I agree with him, this is financial. Disney needs to make money on Star Wars. And anything with George Lucas's name attached to it will draw a crowd. Okay, for good or ill, it will. And they'll make money for it. That name alone for Disney might be $500 million. Okay? All right? I mean, there might be people who don't like Rogue One. I look at, here's the thing. There are fans out there that will look at a steaming pile of dog turds as long as Disney stamps Star Wars on it and like it. They're the ones that like the sequel trilogy, they say. They're the ones that want to say, make Solo 2 happen. And that better not happen. They literally need to retcon that whole fucking thing. That was atrocious. And if I see Emilia Clarke anywhere, it totally just she does something to the character of Han Solo that isn't cool. That isn't, to me, Han. Sorry, I hate her anyway. I think she's ugly. I think she's mousy. I think back in the day, if she'd have walked on a set with Ava Gardner and Rita Hayworth, Marilyn Monroe, and Carol Lombard, they would have attacked her. I mean, she's a little tiny thing, all right? I don't think so. I think it's going to be a different kind of deepfake. But it's just, this is going to be very interesting to see what happens with this. But it's going to be one of those holy shit moments. And it's going to rectify the character because I don't see Lucas liking anything. I'll bet you grand. He was the one that gave Jon Favreau the idea for Luke showing up at the end of Mandalorian Season 2. You know? All right? So, if you're Disney, you want him back. Now, would George want to come back? Well, there are people out there who want to disagree. Now, I'm going to tell you something. No, let's go back to the fans. So there are the fans that are like, the poop sniffers. Then we've got fans who won't be happy unless it's the perfect EU. They're fundamentalists for the EU. Not a cool look. Then there are fans who only want woke shit, and they're very, very, very small percentage. And they're really not fans. Then there are people like us, and I think we're the majority. All right. And we're the reason why Disney's not making money, because we're not happy with it. And we are the ones that lashed out when Gina got embarrassed. Okay? We're the ones who are like, we're not coming back till Kennedy's gone. Gone! Okay? It's really not hard if you're looking at where the money's going to come from for Bob Chapek to go to the board and go to Bob Iger, because he's still there in some capacity. Thanks, Matt Piranha. And say, we need to get George back. We need to start making money on Star Wars. Okay? And them saying, whatever. And George, because it's his baby, this is his creation, more so than Indiana Jones, saying, well, I guess I could come back. I mean, can I pick and choose what I want? And because Ahsoka is Filoni's with Favreau hovering. But I'm sure George will be, looking over their shoulders too. But yeah, I don't see a reason why he wouldn't come back. And I'm going to tell you something else. The people who don't think he wants to, the raging fanboys, or wouldn't, they're not talking about him. Morning, Valiant Renegade. You've been mentioned in dispatches. They're not talking about George. They're talking about themselves. All right. They're not saying George wouldn't because I know George, la, la, la. They're saying George wouldn't because I wouldn't. And this is not about you. This is about him. So is George back? Well, if Josh is right and, they actually follow what his contract said, and if he was really part of the Rise of Skywalker, and I'm going to tell you this, and Valiant, you'll remember this. George did not show up for the premiere of The Rise of Skywalker. Okay? Now, we all know what Doomcock said. Kennedy saw the mock-up of the movie that JJ and apparently George had set up, and she shit herself. Okay? There's a reason why he didn't go. And if anybody thinks he and Kennedy are all copacetic and happy and, hanging around a campfire, making s'mores together, they're wrong. Okay? They're wrong. She screwed him. It was more than just Disney. It was her. All right. They want Iger and Horn probably wanted George to come in and help JJ. Yeah, she backstabbed him. And he went in there. Now, if you look at the leak, Valiant, if you've read this leak, I want your opinion on it. If you look on the leak, it basically gives you the story that JJ was trying to tell. I am so like literally looks like what they were trying to do, because Matt Smith's character was called the Acolyte, and he was supposed to be this thing that was actually attached to Sidious. And when I thought it was going to be the son of Mortis. Yes, yeah, exactly, and that's what I'm talking about. It sounds it's better than what they gave us. Rey is literally nobody, so they didn't give us Rey Solo, Kira Solo, but they didn't. You know what I'm saying? It was bad, but I don't really think. When I look at what Rian Johnson left, I really don't think that there was much anybody could do, including George. So they gave what they, and I'm going to tell you this. I was talked to by a guy who had relations working on the sets in England. And they had what sounds like to me the son of Mortis, his throne, and they had to rebuild it. Okay? So what this sounds like to me, it's a bullshit story with a bullshit ST, third movie synopsis, and it doesn't sound anything like George would be a part of that. When I was told by, I'm going to call him an eyewitness, that they actually did have the son of Mortis on the set, and it was Matt Smith. All right, that's George. That is George to a T. Okay. If you look at the character of the son of Mortis, he was a shapeshifter. He went from being Ahsoka as an adult to Anakin's mother to the little animal that bites Ahsoka. Okay, he could turn into a dragon. So him shapeshifting into Palpatine is not above the realm. Sounding like Palpatine is not above the realm of possibilities. In fact, the trailer for The Rise of Skywalker, when you hear him speaking, I am every voice you've ever heard inside of your head. It goes from what sounds like Palpatine to Snoke to Vader. But there's another voice there. There's an undertone that doesn't sound like any of them. It sounds like Matt Smith. And the only character that would be able to do all that shit is the son of Mortis. So I'm pretty sure that this synopsis that we've got is bullshit. Because I'm pretty sure we were supposed to see the son. And that would have been fucking cool. That would have been a bad guy. People could have actually gone, that's awesome. And there's Kennedy. I don't understand it. And what I love about it is that there's no kiss, that they just hug, so there's no Reylo. Thanks, Planet Musk. It just, but is George, George, let me explain. When he sold Lucasfilm, it wasn't just because Marion County wouldn't let him expand. It was also because they were, just having another kid. That baby, it was 2012, that baby is 9 years old now. There's time now to be able to do these other things. Okay? There you go. All right. This is all, it's not hard to figure out. And I know there's a lot of people out there who want to argue with this. And again, it's not because they know George, it's because they don't want. They themselves are so angry They don't want to see things fixed. Some people want to see the world burn, and we have them in our midst on our side. And, you might as well just say, hey, you're the one that says that. You're not him. You don't know how this guy feels. You didn't create Star Wars, he did. Anyway, we are going to be getting a Hallmark ornament preview. They're going to be out in July. And they're having new storytellers. And the Star Wars storyteller, again, it's A New Hope. I really wish they would have done Empire, but they didn't. Maybe they'll do it next year. But it looks to die for. So just be on the lookout for that stuff. And I might do a review. I got the Cad Bane 6-inch Black Series, Hasbro, and the Asajj Ventress. And they're both awesome. So I'll show them off too. One of these days. Anyway, in about a half hour, Midnight's Edge with Cameron Pasha will be on, and they'll be talking about Amazon's dip into SJW diversity bullshit and how it's going to basically destroy their version of Lord of the Rings, and they'll deserve it. I'm gonna go do some window shopping and get some stuff done, but I'll be in and out. So I'll see you guys later, and thanks for stopping by. If you haven't subbed, please sub, like this video because it helps the algorithm, and I'll see you guys around the galaxy.